Night in watching TV, hardly a luxury, but in the Nigerian capital Abuja, you can't take anything for granted. Inua and her son are left fumbling in the darkness. The blackouts happen all the time, and it isn't just TV that's affected.
Life is more expensive. You cannot store food, basic food things in the freezer anymore, and so that means you have to buy food items on a daily basis to cook.
Nigeria's energy system is dysfunctional. Billions have been spent trying to provide basic power to people in a country that's full of oil, but a mixture of corruption and disorganisation has left huge numbers without guaranteed supplies. Half a world away in London, the British government has been watching all this with interest. Its ministry, with responsibility for aid, hired a company to help sort out Nigeria's energy problem. But rather than offer aid, they propose that Nigeria's energy sector should be sold off to private investors.
A whole series of reforms were required. About $100 billion is required to expand the system, and that can't come from the state, even if they were capable of spending it without there being massive corruption. So the only alternative is to bring it in from private investors.
Supporters of privatisation argue that it can stop countries having to rely on aid. The case against it is that aid has no place in helping big corporations get their hands on Africa.
What happened in the minds of some politicians, I think, is, well, actually now we have this budget ring fence, let's use it for the kind of things that we believe in. And so if you look at what a lot of the aid budget is being used for today, it's being used to support big corporations taking over land and food systems in Africa, energy systems. It's being used to build luxury apartments and hotels under this premise that really was discredited many years ago now, that wealth trickles down.
We asked the Department for International Development repeatedly for an interview. We didn't get one. Throughout several years of national austerity, the government here has remained defiantly committed to the aid budget. It now ring-fences nearly 1% of all the money the country makes every year to international aid. But the question is, if any of that money goes to advising foreign governments on what might be construed as political initiatives, is it actually aid? The other question is whether it's better value. Supporters of the privatisation scheme say it should make electricity cheaper for people who currently rely on candles or generators. But for Inua and her son, privatised electricity has proved to be more expensive than it was before. Lawrence Lee, Al Jazeera, London.